Well, I mean, this is one of the projects that has been conducted by Geneva Center for Human Rights and Global Dialogue. As you know, that I mean, we focus on so many areas, conducting research, studies, and this is one of those studies which I believe very important. Related, it's named Muslims in Europe. Of course, I mean the road, I mean to social harmony. And this is one of the challenges that we face not only in Europe but even in other Western countries. I do believe that, I mean, by conducting such an important research by the center, we're trying to contribute into this solving of this problem. And I think it's important for all communities who are living in Europe as well as in other parts of the world, I mean, to be part of the society and the communities that they live in. I think most of the issues or crises what we see now is because of misunderstanding, not getting involved in the community itself, not being part of it, not socially and so on. So I think, I mean, if we highlight on this, I mean, issue and try to see why this is not happening and the consequences of, I mean, this thing, of course, it has a very negative impact on everybody actually. I mean, people who are living here, Muslims or non-Muslim as well. And I think it's important for the Europeans to know that, I mean, even though there are certain groups, religious groups, who claim to be, I mean, who represent, I mean, political Islam and do, I mean, the things which are really bad, they are not representing the real Islam. They are really trying to damage, I mean, this kind of relationship. And everybody has to work, I mean, together to solve, I mean, this problem. Well, I think we have conducted in the past, I mean, a panel on Islamophobia. And I think, I mean, that panel responded, I mean, to so many of these, I mean, questions. I mean, relying on certain media organizations and the stories that, I mean, they are trying to tell, it's not, sometimes the source of this information is not accurate, not credible. And there, I mean, where the issue starts and the problem starts, I mean, and this would really, add, I mean, to this kind of misunderstanding about Islam and what does it mean to be a Muslim. And it's not, we as Muslims, of course, coming from, I mean, the Middle East or from the UAE, for example, I mean, where people live together in peace and harmony from different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions. I think there are some models where we can learn from, and there are models where we can learn from. And it could be, of course, I mean, even repeated in other parts of the world. So it's not about Islam itself, but it's about, I mean, some behavior or, I mean, some practices which are conducted by Muslims to claim that they represent Islam. I think, I mean, that's the challenge, and that's the important issue that we have to tackle. I mean, yeah.
Which one? Which one was the last one? That one. What needs to be done in order to achieve social harmony between different religions?
Well, I think, I mean, by dialogue, and of course the center has a very important role to play in that regard. To start, I mean, talking to each other, I mean, to promoting for the culture of understanding, to start, I mean, communicating with each other. I think, I mean, academic people have a very important role to play in this regard. The media organizations have a very important role to play in this regard as well, and religious leaders. And I was so pleased, of course, to see this kind of communication going on between the Pope Francis of Vatican and other religious leaders from the Arab world, and especially the Grand Mufti of Al-Azhar. The most recent important visit, which was conducted by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, last week, when he met with the Pope in Vatican last week. I think that by really, I mean, having this kind of visits and taking similar initiatives where religious, I mean, leaders, political leaders get together to promote for this kind of culture, the culture of tolerance, culture of understanding. At the end of the day, we have one planet to live, and we have to really, I mean, work so hard, I mean, to achieve this. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and what can those who are not in Europe, in the U.S., for example, learn from this study?
Well, I think, I mean, when we talk about Europe, I mean, in so many areas, I mean, the US as a community or the state, I mean, it has, I mean, so many similarities, I mean, to what's happening in Europe. And, you know, I mean, because of some incidents which happened, for example, in Europe and even in the States, and the media, the way they, I mean, report about the Muslim community, or, I mean, some Muslim figures, or, I mean, acts and so on, you know, I mean, these are things which we have to avoid, you know, I mean, not really, I mean, promoting for that kind of teaching of Islam or, you know, other religions. I think, I mean, the U.S. As in general, they can learn from, you know, the outcomes of this event by presenting them to them. Of course, I mean that. I mean, there are certain recommendations where academic institutions, research institutions, religious organizations, and even state and government organizations, they can really, I mean, benefit from.